What is up, everyone? Piezilla 57 here, back with another episode of the Project Platinum podcast. And with me, we have a returning guest, McD's Nuts 7295, aka Connor.
Hi.
And then we have a new guest with us, Khronic 123, aka Greg.
Yo.
All right, so for this episode, we're going to talk about some different genres and styles of games that we think are underrated and underappreciated. So basically, games that we enjoy a lot and we think don't get enough recognition in the gaming community, and we think that should be exposed to other people. So, you guys have any comments or questions before we start?
No.
All right. Greg, do you want to start us off with a genre that you enjoy, you think is underappreciated? Or
Yeah, so this is more limited to PC, but military sims are probably underrated pretty well. I mean, if you play PC, then they're probably pretty popular with you. Some titles like Arma 3, DayZ Mod, Escape from Tarkov, but all those could definitely get more recognition, and I think there should be more on console.
all right. Yeah, I don't think I've really played any, so I'm not too familiar with them. Are there any on console that you can think of, or is it pretty much just exclusively on PC?
Not off the top of my head, I'd say that probably the closest thing to military sim on console would probably be permadeath mode for Wildlands, but that's nowhere close to the detail of mil sims on PC.
Can you kind of explain what a military sim is? Because I'm not too familiar.
Okay, so military sims are obviously they simulate military, and they're a lot more realistic and detailed in like the smaller things that people like most games miss if you're just playing like a regular first person shooter like Call of Duty or Battlefield. Like some people think Battlefield's realistic, but military sims you pay attention to like just the smallest minute details. So say like you get separated from your squad and you dropped your radio or you never picked one up, you won't be able to communicate with them because they're out of range unless they're like right by you in your vicinity to where you can use direct communication. It's also pretty much if it's kind of like the siege concept, except it was around before. If you take one shot to the head, you're done. Say you get injured, you're gonna need the bandage. You're gonna need to have someone bandage you, use morphine on you to stop the pain. Just super small, minute details like that.
Okay, sounds pretty interesting. So it basically just takes kind of like the core concepts of like Call of Duty and Battlefield 1 and just amplifies all of the minute details and makes it a lot more realistic, as if you were simulating a war, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say, do you have a favorite military sim on PC that you like playing?
Definitely the Arma series, so Arma 2 Operation Arrowhead, Arma 3, pretty good. And then the mods for them that take the milsim and amplify them even more are really nice too. I can't think of any like the mod names off the top of my head, but it just adds even more finer detail.
All right, cool. When I hopefully get a actual PC later on this year, at least that's the hope, then I'll definitely try checking some of them out and you can show me the ropes.
Yeah, DayZ mod on Arma 2 is a great place to start. That's what I've been playing recently again.
Cool. Anything else you have to add about military sims?
Nope. Not off the top of my head.
All right. Connor, how about you? Do you have a underrated genre or underappreciated genre of games that you think should be more well known and more people should play and enjoy?
I'd definitely say like one of the ones that I would think is like racing games, because like you haven't seen many super blockbuster games. I don't know if blockbuster applies to games, but it applies to movies. But like the last Need for Speed was trash, and everybody just dissed on it so much. And then like The Crew came out, which was alright,
Eh.
and The Crew 2, which I remember seeing one trailer for it and then not caring about it ever again.
Yeah, I bought it. It definitely wasn't worth $60.
Yeah, I just feel like they need to go back to bring up the racing games.
The last good racing game was probably Forza Horizon 4 and
Yep.
Forza 7 on Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox definitely has Sony beat for when it comes to racing games.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I know I'm not a huge fan of racing games, but I know one racing game that I really love was Need for Speed Most Wanted on the PS2.
Such a great
It was
game.
a top-notch game.
Yeah, my favorite racing game of all time is definitely Need for Speed Underground 2, also from the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, PS2 had some really good racing games, and then after that, it
It's when they're in
kind
their
of died
prime.
out.
Yeah, it's when they were in their prime. Now it's just like cool racing games.
So, Connor, I'm kind of surprised you chose the racing genre because, as far as I know, you don't really play that many racing games. Is that because most of the racing games are not very good nowadays? Like, is it a genre you actually do like, or you just think that for people who do enjoy racing games, you just wish they had some better options?
I love racing games. Like, unpopular opinion, of Midnight Club Los Angeles or something.
It's a great game, yeah, from PS3.
I had that. I had like 4 Need for Speed games on my PS3, and I played the fuck out of them. Motorstorm, another great racing game that I wish they would.
Grid 2 on Steam was also a great racing game.
Which one?
Grid 2.
Oh, okay.
It's a racing sim, kind of like Gran Turismo and Forza.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo is another good game that I recommend people check out. Gran Turismo Sport, or really any of them.
Yeah, those games usually have a lot of content, a lot of stuff to do, don't they?
Yeah, Gran Turismo Sport updates their car list and track list every month with new cars, new tracks.
That's nice.
And they have a detailed history timeline for every brand on there telling you what event in history was in correlation to whatever car being produced or made into a race car and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad that they're continuously updating the game and making sure it's really good and detailed and stuff like that.
Yeah, this year it'll be out for 3 years in October. And it's still going strong.
Oh, I had no idea it was out for that long.
Yeah, it came out October 2016.
So, anything else you have to add about racing games?
Bring them back.
Yeah, make them better again.
Yes.
All right, you heard that, developers. You heard it here first. Bring back the racing games.
Game great
Need
again.
for Speed Payback, trash.
I thought you liked Need for Speed Payback.
I liked it when it first came out, and then like I played it for probably more than 5 hours, and then it just got really repetitive. And the AI is bad. Just the controls. It's way too arcadey for my liking. There needs to be more simulated racing games, like realistic.
I like Need for Speed. Like, just Need for Speed itself, the most recent one.
What, 2015 Need for Speed?
I think so. I don't know for sure.
The one that was all night?
Yeah, that's the only thing I didn't like about it, but I like the controls and everything for it.
It was alright.
The only recent racing game I've played is Burnout Paradise Remastered.
Yeah, that's not recent. It was recently remastered.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I haven't really tried that many of the recent racing games. Most of the racing games I've played, as we mentioned, are on the PS2 mostly.
It's where they're at their prime.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed a lot of the PS2 racing games. So, all right. Well, if we've exhausted racing games, then I guess I will go ahead and bring up one of my picks. And if you guys have listened to any of the other episodes, this probably isn't too much of a surprise, but one genre of games that I think is underappreciated and underrated is the stealth genre. And I do know that this genre of games is not for everyone, because compared to a lot of games nowadays, it is a lot more slow paced. There's a lot of waiting time trying to analyze your surroundings and analyzing enemy movements to know when your best opportunity to go is. But overall, I think the stealth genre is really good and a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite genres, and I'd like to see more of them. There are some good stealth games out nowadays. There's the Hitman 2 that just came out, which is a really good game. Of course, Hitman first season, which came out in 2016. But other than that, there aren't too many stealth games. There are a lot of games nowadays that are kind of implementing certain stealth elements to the game, kind of like Wildlands or Far Cry. But the true stealth games like Hitman or one of my favorite series, Splinter Cell, those are some of my favorite types of games, like the true stealth where you can pretty much go through the entire level in complete stealth. And there are so many different ways to tackle the game and the levels with their level design. There's not just a single way to do it. But of course, those games also have options for people who prefer more action. Like you can go in guns blazing on some of those games, even though they try and prevent that. Like they don't want you to go guns blazing, so they kind of make you pay for that by limiting your ammo or making the gunplay not as great as it could be. But so that's my take on stealth games. I know, Connor, you've played a little bit of Hitman. Greg, I don't really know if you've played many like true stealth games.
Last Splinter Cell I played was PS2, and I don't even remember the name of it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with being slow and methodical, because that's pretty much the core element in military sims, is checking your surroundings, being super cautious, taking your time clearing areas, or else you'll pay for it by probably eating a bullet to the face. But
Yeah,
I just can't be bothered with forced stealth. Because like on some missions, if you fail the forced stealth, then you have to restart from a checkpoint. Like, it's just not a good game design. IMO.
Yeah, I will agree with that for the most part. Like I was mentioning with like Hitman and Splinter Cell. Definitely not Hitman, but Splinter Cell, I think there might be a couple of parts of levels throughout the series where you have to complete enforced stealth, but it actually makes sense that you need to. But for the most part of the games, if you don't want to do complete stealth, you don't have to. Or if you're trying to do complete stealth and something goes wrong, then you can still recover and either take out all the enemies, or you can retreat and go back into stealth and lose the enemies, but you won't actually lose the mission or fail the mission, have to restart, which is nice. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like a lot of the games nowadays that are trying to implement some stealth elements, they're like, oh yeah, you have to do stealth, and if you get caught, then you fail. And a lot of the times it doesn't even really flow well or make much sense why you automatically fail if you do get caught.
Yeah. That's why I don't play much Assassin's Creed anymore. Because there's forced stealth missions, and it's just not fun to fail and then have to restart from a checkpoint.
Especially when some of those games that have those sections of games, like the stealth to begin with, isn't even super great. So most of the time when you're getting caught and failing, it's just from something really stupid that you shouldn't even have gotten spotted from in the first place. But yeah, so that's one of my favorite genres of games, and I think it is underappreciated. Like I said, just because a lot of people tend to stay away from those games just because they are a little bit slower, which I can understand. It's definitely not for everyone, but it's really satisfying when you analyze your surroundings, analyze the enemy movements, and you complete everything flawlessly in perfect stealth. It's just very satisfying. And one thing I like with a lot of the true stealth games with Hitman, you're able to save whenever you want, pretty much. So, which is nice because the stealth games promote doing things in different ways and trying out different things. So it's nice where you save, you want to try something in stealth, it doesn't work out, then you can reload that save and try it a different way. So that's another thing I like about stealth games, but I do realize it's not for everyone, but it's a game that I like to see more true stealth games being made. Still hoping for new Splinter Cell game in the near future. But for right now, I feel like Hitman's really the only true stealth game out nowadays, especially since like the newest Metal Gear Solid, which has always been a stealth game, went more of the action open world aspect and didn't quite keep all of the stealth elements that made Metal Gear Solid Metal Gear Solid. So I think that's all I have to say about stealth games. So if you guys don't have anything else to add to stealth games, then if you guys want, we can go through again and talk about a second genre of game we think is underrated. If we have a second one, I know I have a second one I could talk about, but if you guys have a second one you guys want to talk about, then go ahead.
I got nothing off the top of my head.
Well, I guess then I'll talk about one more genre and we can wrap things up. Try and keep it a little bit short. But so the other genre that I had in mind was, and this one actually is making more of a comeback now, and it's the survival horror genre. And of course, Resident Evil 2 Remake just dropped, and that is a really great game overall, and it's a really great survival horror game at its core. And I think it does survival horror really well. And again, it's another genre that I can kind of see why people don't enjoy, especially like Resident Evil 2. There's a lot of people who don't like the game they don't like the game because of the tyrant, and they don't like just being chased all over the place.
Yeah,
Some people don't like.
Sucks.
Yeah, some people don't like item management, which is another core element of a lot of survival horror games. Having to go ahead.
I was gonna say, and it's another core element of mill sims, because you can either pack enough ammo to last you a gunfight and like bring no meds, or you can balance it, or you can bring like 3 mags and tons of meds.
Okay.
And
so, yeah,
every engagement has different distance, so you could be up close and personal, or you could be super far out. So it's always nice to pick a decent range weapon that is adjustable to different combat environments.
Okay. But yeah, like with item management and survival horror, like you're only given a certain amount of inventory slots, and in certain games like Resident Evil 2 Remake or Resident Evil 7, you can find hit pouches or backpacks throughout the environment to upgrade your inventory slots. But if you run out of space, then you come across something else you need, then you kind of have to pick and choose whether you want to leave it or whether you want to discard something else. So I know there's a lot of people who didn't like Resident Evil 2 because of that. They didn't like the whole tyrant thing, being chased, which these are all like core elements of survival horror, and I do like them. It's just such an adrenaline rush when it's happening, and I like being able to. It just takes a lot of patience and strategy, and a lot of people don't think of strategy in survival horror kind of like mixing, but it's true, and it's nice being able to, at least with especially the Resident Evil games, it's nice being able to find the optimal path. And a lot of this Resident Evil games kind of promote replayability, which a lot of games try to but fail miserably. But Resident Evil in general tends to do a pretty good job at promoting replayability by unlocking different weapons or different costumes and stuff after you beat the playthrough once. It's like on Resident Evil 2 Remake, once you beat the game, once you S rank the game on standard, you get a handgun with infinite ammo that you can use in your other playthroughs. Or if you S rank the game on hardcore, you get an infinite light machine gun that you can use in your subsequent playthroughs. So, and the Resident Evil games are also kind of built with speedrunning in mind. It's like the games aren't that long in general, but it's nice trying to be able to find speedrunning paths. And like Alien Isolation was another good survival horror game. You have the Outlast games, which is survival horror like the games I mentioned, but it's also different in that in the Outlast games there's no weapons and it's just all running and hiding basically. So I really enjoy the survival horror genres. There's one. I'm making it a goal this year to try and play as many survival horror games as I can. So I'm playing through the first Resident Evil remake right now, and I bought some of the others. I have the Dead Space games I want to play through. I want to finish Evil
Dead
Within
Space
1
is a
and play the
great
second
series.
one. Yeah, so I know a lot of
Played
people
all
don't.
three of them.
Did you?
Yeah, they're scary as shit, but they are extremely fun.
Yeah, so I want to play more survival horror games this year and try and and yeah, like I said, I feel like survival horror games are starting to make more of a comeback. You're starting to see more of them. You have the Resident Evil 2 remake. There's rumors about Resident Evil 3 remake and Resident Evil 8 being launched at some point and being developed currently. So I'm excited to see the future of those types of games.
Same. I do enjoy survival horrors, even though I will jump a bunch of times.
Yeah.
That's why I don't play. That's why I still haven't finished Alien Isolation. I fucking hate jump scares.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. And like, I'm not a big fan of like chasing scenes where you're being chased, which a lot of the games I've mentioned you are being chased at some point. But it's such an adrenaline rush, and it's still a lot of fun trying to get through and find the optimal routes and stuff like that. And it's just a genre of games that I've really come to enjoy and hope to enjoy a lot more this year. So that's all I have to say about that. So if you guys don't have anything else to add, then we can wrap this up.
Yeah. There's one more aspect of milsims that I appreciate is you can choose to bring a backpack with extra ammo, medical supplies, whatnot, and run slower, or you can choose the more lightweight combat run and gun situation. Just comes back to your personal preference.
What is your favorite style to play?
I usually bring a mixture. I usually bring about 3 mags of primary and about 2 mags of secondary. And then at least 3 bandages, just in case. That's about it. I don't usually bring morphine. I usually have people around me that can morphine me. They're playing designated combat medic roles. So I usually go for the more rifleman approach.
So it definitely sounds like these military sims are based around constant communication with your teammates.
Yeah,
Military sims won't be able to function if you don't have any communication skills.
So for these military sims, are they mainly PvP, PvE, like co-op type missions, a combination of all of them?
Nah, there's no PvP unless you play like designated PvP modes like King of the Hill and stuff like that. Milsims are more PvE related, except think of the AI as way better, smarter, real people playing. But Yeah, mill sims you have different missions. You have rescue missions, search and destroy missions, and everyone has a designated role. So you have pilots, all kinds of stuff, but it's mainly PVE related, and every engagement's different. Like I said,
So is it AI or other players?
It's AI.
I tried to ask that, but then my mic quit working.
Sound a lot clearer now, though.
Yeah,
Probably won't last long, but
are a great genre of game.
Yeah, I mean, from what you've said, it sounds like a genre I could see myself enjoying a little bit.
I've watched a lot of gameplay of Arma 3. It looks very enjoyable.
Yeah, I used to be super heavy on the on just PvE only on Arma 3, but also another great game series on the Arma games is Pakistan Life or Altus Life, which is basically you have 3 sides or 4 sides. You can be Blue 4, which is the police force, military force, Op 4, which obviously is insurgents, terrorists, and then independents, which are basically guerrilla fighters, or you can be a civilian and you start out with minute money and like it's all about how you make money fast so you can make money legit, or you can rob banks, you can go like weed farm, coca farm, stuff like that, and get shipments and sell them.
Like a large scale GTA.
Yeah, or you can be police force and stand at checkpoints and ID everyone, which my favorite thing when I used to play Pakistan Life on Arma 2 would be I'd always be an insurgent and me and a couple of people would go buy suicide vests from the insurgent vendor out in the middle of the desert and then go to the checkpoint and wait till they make us get out of the car and search us, and then we would we'd blow up the checkpoint, see how many people we could kill.
That's a lot of work to put into a game.
Yeah, or we'll go rob the bank in I think it was like Rockastani or some shit like that.
What game was this called, you said?
Pakistan Life. It's Pakistan Life, Altus Life, Trinaris Life. Just whatever map you're playing it on. But you have like your own money management system and all that shit. Arma has a lot of different game modes per se for people to enjoy.
So on average for the game modes, like how many players do you have at once like playing and communicating with each other?
Doing PvE missions, I used to run PvE missions with 100 plus people. Pakistan Life probably be 60 plus.
Oh, what's the smallest game? Like which game mode has the smallest amount of people you can play with?
It all depends on whoever owns the server, how much slots they paid for. So it could be anywhere from like 6 for whatever reason. I don't know why you'd make it that small, but it could be anywhere from 6 to 120 at the most.
Oh wow!
It's just because it's all run by people who pay for servers, and so they do all their own scripting for their own servers. So it just depends on the server owner. Like the server I'm playing on, which I'm playing Daisy Overpoch, and Overpoch is a mod of Overwatch and Epoch modded into the regular
DayZ mod, so it brings in a lot of new scripts, a lot of new weapons, PvE missions for you to go and clear out and get supplies, weapons, loot from, depending on what type of mission. So it's really fun. There's tons of different things for everyone on Arma.
Sounds pretty interesting. I know it's a game that I've heard a lot of people talk about, but I've never actually known what kind of game it was. So I feel like I know a lot more about it now.
I could stream some gameplay after this if you want.
Sure.
I don't care. It's up to you. It's a really fun game. That's why I said you should buy it. The combined ops while it's on sale for $5, and also Arma 3 is on sale for $13 right now. Also,
how much is it usually?
Arma 3 normally is 40 and 25 for combined operations normally. So they're on sale
Damn.
for super good deals.
Cool. Well, Connor, do you have another genre of games that you think is underrated and want to talk about, or you good?
Battle royales are so underrated.
All right. Well, we're ending the podcast right there. All right. As far as I know, well, do you guys have anything else to add then about anything we've talked about?
That's about it for me.
Same.
All right. Well, Connor, am I right in assuming you still haven't set up any type of social media where people can find you at?
I have not.
All right. Greg, is there anywhere on social media that you would like people to find you at?
Yeah, follow your boy on Twitter at GregZ1969 and follow your boy on Instagram at Greg_Buttram23. Yeah.
Buttrum. His last name has butt in it.
And it's Buttram, not Buttram for all you dyslexic people out there. So add me about it if you got a problem.
All right. And then you can find me on Twitter at Piezilla Gaming, and you can find me on
check out
YouTube.
your boy YouTube at Chronic Gaming, capital K, space, capital G. All right, sorry about that.
Nope, no worries. And you can also find me on YouTube at Piezilla Gaming as well. And you can follow the official Twitter page for this podcast. What is your YouTube?
Mostly Siege Cancer.
I have tons of Siege clips and PUBG and Destiny on mine also. Probably start uploading some Arma.
Joint YouTube coming soon.
No, we already tried that.
Wait, so what's your YouTube channel called, Connor?
Mostly Siege Cancer.
Oh, that's what it's called. Oh, okay.
Really, Connor?
Yeah.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
All right. Well, you can also follow the official Twitter page for the podcast at Project Platinum Podcast, and the handle is at the PP_podcast. And until next week, guys, Piezilla out.